Hello, welcome back to my channel. I sound stopped up because I just read outside for an hour and my allergies are allergying. But I've been wanting to do this video for a while because I feel like it's just fun and I want to do it. I'm just gonna watch BookTok. That's the whole video. I'm just gonna watch BookTok. I never watch BookTok, but I did just watch Leonie from, I can't remember her channel name. I'll try to put it on the screen. But she just did a video ranking like all the really popular TikTok books that she's read, and then she talked about like how many times they've been hashtagged and all that stuff. So, well, if you want to follow me on TikTok, then it's this. But yeah, I just want to like make a chill video where I haven't saved it. These are just completely random. Like I follow a couple people, but I honestly never get on BookTok, like even just regular TikTok. But I guess we can call this like, you know, is BookTok, does it give good recommendations or something? But I'm just gonna watch it. This is my BookTok. I have made a couple videos.
But that is not a crime. Okay. You got me there. But that is not a crime. Okay.
Nobody told me that this book is crack, and now I'm addicted to drugs. Thanks. Nobody told me.
I'm shocked that the second video is Akatar. I'm shocked. I told you I don't get on there, and I know a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, if you if you don't get on BookTok, that's what the algorithm forces you to see. But I'm kind of curious, like, will I get...
My mother told me that I could be anything.
Anything niche.
So I became financially irresponsible. My mother told me that I could be anything.
That's a lot of books. I'm jealous. That's a lot of books.
Panic Hotline, this is Lee.
It's finally time to count down the 7 best books I read in 2022. I read over 120 books this year, which shouldn't make you feel bad because it's completely unreasonable. I read A to cope and B to comb through all of the trash so that way you guys can use your limited time to read books that are actually worthwhile. Starting off strong, intense, inspiring, depressing, this is a fictional portrait of the generational trauma of a family that loops back all the way to the 18th century when two half-sisters kind of split up and live entirely different lives. I love the ways that the author chose to link the stories together. It really makes you face some hard truths about race and class and all of the different ways that societies across the world have failed all of the people that they're meant to protect. So I finally got around to reading The Song of Achilles this year. It was like my first read, I think, of 2022. I know it doesn't live up to the hype for everybody, but it really lived up to the hype for me. I don't know if it should be considered like a BookTok classic because I don't think it's a book for everybody, but I'm glad it's getting the recognition it deserves because I did find it beautiful and heart-wrenching and all of that stuff, and I'm really, really excited to read Circe this year. Oh my god, this book. This is beautiful. This is like one of the most poignant, well-written memoirs I've ever read in my entire life. It is the story of a girl reckoning with taking care of her mother, who she's always had a fraught relationship with, as well as kind of connecting with and understanding her heritage in doing so as a biracial person. And it's just fucking fantastic. I don't know. I was a Jay Breckie stan before I read this, and I am certainly a Jay Breckie stan afterwards. Also sad, a lot of the books so far on this list have been sad. I don't actually think they get better. I can't believe that this is translated. Like, it feels like it was written in English, which obviously it was not. I was sobbing like a child in the airport when I read this book. And I had bought a lot of Frederick Bachman on Faith Alone before I read this, so I'm glad that I own a couple of others that I get to read this year. Part of the reason why I held off on making this video is because the HarperCollins Union is still striking, which you should definitely check out and support if you can. And I knew that this list would be incomplete without mentioning the Poppy War and the rest of the trilogy. It's just perfectly written, perfectly paced, really grimdark fantasy about the Sino-Japanese War. I don't think it felt pressured to tell anybody else's story. Like, you don't see a lot of the tropes that you see fantasy authors compelled to throw into their books. In this one, like, it's just very unique. It's its own thing. I remember when I read this book for the first time, I was convinced that I would never read anything better. Oh my god, it's just so good. I randomly bought this at the bequest of a bookseller, and I strongly encourage you to randomly buy this at the bequest of me because this is just such a brilliant collection, just about who gets to tell our history in America and why, and how that impacts everybody. And it's fantastic, and it's fantastic. It's tight, it's brilliant, none of the stories are bad, it's all good. Do just trust me. So yeah, I never thought I would read anything better than that. And then in July, or maybe August, I don't know time, a silly little book called Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow came out. And I'm sure you've seen this on the best.
Okay, so I have read the first two in the Poppy War and loved them so much. And I have read The Song of Achilles, which didn't live up to the hype for me personally. But everything else that she's talking about, I've heard like amazing things about. So, you know, and I think I have some of those things. I don't have the Frederick Bachman, but I think I have Crying in H. Mart on hold at my library. And I don't have Homegoing, but I have Pachinko, which I know people say are kind of similar books. So if I like Pachinko, I'll probably read Homegoing.
Like truly, truly deep.
I always want to get on here and just be like, my outfit. But then I'd be like, white supremacy is killing us. I always want to get on here and just be like, my outfit. But then I'd be like, white supremacy is killing us.
I feel like that's a good mix. Like having the, you know, the important, we need to talk about these books, but also like, also fun books. I think I already follow them, right? Because I'm glad I'm following her.
As someone who gives TV and movie updates and is also a member of BookTok, I thought it was my responsibility to give you an update on the books that are being adapted into TV shows or movies. Starting off with the obvious ones, Daisy Jones and the Six is being turned into an original series for Prime Video, and it drops this Friday, March 3rd. Also coming to Prime Video is the movie called The Idea of You, based on the book that's kind of loose fan fiction of Harry Styles, and is starring Anne Hathaway and Nicholas Galitzine, and they wrapped filming in December. One True Love's just surprised everyone.
I want to watch that so bad, but I haven't read that book yet. But I have read most of Taylor Jenkins Reid's work, and I'd never heard of the book before this, and then I still haven't watched Daisy Jones, so like, what am I doing?
And dropped the trailer for the movie, which is coming to theaters on my birthday, April 7th. I know a lot of people loved the Ugly series when they were in middle school. Well, it is being adapted into a movie for Netflix that is starring Joey King and Chase Stokes. They wrapped filming in December of 2021, and it is supposed to be coming out this year. We're getting a movie adaptation of It Happened One Summer, and this was announced in June of 2022, but we still don't know where it's going to be or who's starring in it. Beautiful Disasters starring Dylan Sprouse comes to theaters on April 12th, and this is really giving After vibes. Maya Rafiko and Kit Connor are starring in the adaptation of A Cuban Girl's Guide to Tea and Tomorrow, which they announced in August of 2022 and is set to premiere this year. Obviously, a big one is Red, White, and Royal Blue coming to Prime Video. They wrapped filming in August of 2022, and they recently have been posting some stuff, so my guess is that it's coming out on April 4th. Another big one is the movie adaptation of The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo coming to Netflix, and this was announced in March of 2022. Probably the biggest one is the adaptation of It Ends With Us, starring Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. This is going to be coming out in theaters, and they're set to start filming in the fall. Then we have the book Love Again, which is based on the book called Text for You, and this is starring Priyanka Chopra Jonas and Sam Heughan, and this is dropping in theaters on May 12th. We Were Liars is getting a series adaptation at Prime Video. This was announced in December of 2022, and Julie Plec, the creator of the Vampire Diaries universe, is going to be behind it. Lucy Hale and Nat Wolff are starring in the movie Which Brings Me to You, and they started filming in September of 2022. The YA fantasy book Hush Hush, which has been trying to get the movie made for so long, is finally making it happen over at Paramount Plus, but no news yet about when it's dropping. And lastly, but most frustrating, is the Selection series. Everyone knows that Netflix is supposed to be adapting this into a movie, but there has been no news on this for so many years. Let me know in the comments which books you're most excited about to see on screen. As someone who gives TV and movie...
So with her, I feel like we just talked about Daisy Jones. I've never read the Ugly series, never read It Happened One Summer, never heard of the thing Kit Connor's been starring, but obviously I'm going to watch it. I love Kit Connor. I'm very excited for Red, White, and Royal Blue to be a movie because I feel like it will be much better visually than the book was for me. I mean, I still give the book 4 stars, but I haven't reread it, and I feel like it's a little cringe, but I think hopefully they'll reduce the cringe. Obviously, Evelyn Hugo, I'm the most excited for Evelyn Hugo out of all these.
Oh my god.
Another actor. I'm gonna skip.
Since I moved to France, I've changed a lot.
I'm skipping. I'm just.
No, don't do this to me.
I know, I'm sorry.
I'm gonna go really fast, but here are some fantasy book recommendations based.
I'm gonna follow her because she's talking about the Poppy War.
No,
She's talking about Arv Kwong, so I have to follow her.
Fantasy book recommendations based on your favorite trope. If you love a coming-of-age story, you should check out A Wizard of Earthsea by Ursula K. Le Guin. If you want to go on a quest to save the world, Realmbreaker by Victoria Aveyard. If you want a fantasy series with a unique magic system, I always recommend Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. If you're a slut for heists, just like me, you can't go wrong with Foundryside by Robert Jackson Bennett. If you want a hero's rise to power and fall from grace, The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. If you want morally gray characters, The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin. If you want a revenge story, one of the best with a murderous mommy, The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne. If you want a military-style fantasy that could also double as a revenge plot, The Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter. If you want a short story or novella collection, I recommend the Wayward Children series by Seanan McGuire. The first book is Every Hearted Doorway. Or you could also go with Untethered Sky by Fonda Lee. If you want a book with animal companions, The Bone Shard Daughter by Andrea Stewart is one of my favorites. If you want the best found family in the history of found families, Malice by John Gwynne. If you want a fantasy that's kind of low on the fantasy and no plot, just vibes, go with The Starless Sea by Aaron.
No plot, just vibes is my anti-buzzword. Like, anti-buzzword. Such an anti-buzzword. So out of the ones that she recommended, I have not read Ursi, but I want to. I have literally this whole collection of it. I have high hopes for it because I love Name of the Wind. Mistborn was fine. Foundry Side isn't White Man, so I don't know. Bobby War, amazing. Fifth season, I need to reread it. I am interested in. I read Rage of Dragons. It was just okay for me. I loved the first book in the Wayward Children series, so I need to keep reading that. I haven't read anything by Fonda Lee, but I have Jade City over there. I also have Bone Shard Daughter over there.
Daughter by...
You may not bring your white wife. You may not bring your white wife. You may not bring your white wife. If you bring a non-African, you and the non-African will be escorted. You may not bring your white wife.
No, I'm kind of afraid though.
It's going to be an
Don't be
Akatar
mean.
person. Yep.
So like, is it any kind of soup or do you have a preference?
I've only read the first Akatar book, so I don't fully understand that, but I know.
So I have talked about this on here before, but unfortunately, I don't think I was listened to. So let me try again. This is for romance authors, particularly those of you who are writing adult romance, okay? Let's say you have a project right now you're working on and you're like, I know that these characters in this relationship need to go through some sort of conflict, but I don't know what that conflict should be. Unfortunately, I can't tell you what it should be, but I can tell you what it shouldn't be. Miscommunication. Okay, if you are going to make the entire source of conflict for your characters miscommunication, I need you to try again. Like, I need you to try again because what? No. You mean to tell me that the entire source of conflict is going to be something that could have been resolved with one conversation in 5 pages, maybe a chapter at most, but somehow we're going to drag this along over 200 pages and you expect me as the reader to enjoy it, to actually like reading that and to not feel frustrated and annoyed? Are we being for real? I need to ask ourselves, are we being for real? I cannot with the miscommunication trope as the main source of conflict. It just is almost insulting. Like, what? What are you doing with my time right now? What are we doing? And honestly, I've yet to see it done well. Like, I have yet to see someone use miscommunication as the main source of conflict done well. And I would argue that it's not even about writing ability and talent. It's just the fact that the miscommunication trope on its own as the main source of conflict is giving lazy, right? So you can be the best writer ever, but it's the trope itself and using it to drive the conflict that just tells me you couldn't think of anything else. And so you just resulted to this. And because I love my authors so much and I want them to put out the best book possible, I don't think we can do that with this trope driving the source of conflict. I just don't, me personally, I don't feel it. I don't know. Can we stop with that trope, please? So I have to.
I love Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin, so I went back to read some of the author's earlier works. First, I picked up The Storied Life of A.J. Fikry. Many people love this. It's sort of a love story to books and reading, but I felt like it was written by a completely different author.
Boy, how do you feel about Taylor Swift now?
And I would say...
You always said you didn't get this song, but I...
So that's not BookTok. But my Instagram reels are like all Eras Tour stuff. Like the whole, like every other one is like something about the Eras Tour.
And I remember I was crying one day and I said,
This is an experiment. Here are 6 books to go into almost completely blind. If you check trigger warnings, I recommend you do so. Please.
Let's see if I've heard of any of these. I'm gonna guess. If they're all like indie, then probably not.
Mouth by Ronald Malfi. An evil magician's back in town and you gotta track him down and potentially fight the guy. Necrosis by Rain Havoc. Revenge-seeking succubus. This is straight trauma and straight porn. The Bell Chime by Mona Kabani is a heartbreaking fever dream that doesn't make sense until the end, but it is so worth it. Little Eve by Catriona Ward is about a serpent-worshipping cult. That is very hard to say. This is an actual trip.
The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. Don't be the nosy neighbor. Put the binoculars down and stay out of the weird lake. Flowers Over the Inferno by Ilaria Teddy. Solve a ritualistic unaliving if you can remember how. This is an experiment. Here are 6.
Yeah, I don't know about some of those. They sound a little. Like House Across. I haven't read any Riley Sager. I feel like I would be surprised if I don't see him a few more times.
How many books did you read in February?
12.
How many books did you read this month?
5. Hands down, favorite book of the month was From Blood and Ash. Went straight into the next one. Also good. And now I am freaking stalled in the 3rd book. What the hell happened? I'm like DNFing it. Like, earn your pages, bitches. Earn your pages.
Okay.
So I had fantasy going, Throne of Glass series, and then I was on a little bit of a smut kick.
It's going to be rough. It's going to feel like it's going on for a long time, so it's going to be hard to stay alert. It's going to be even harder to be quiet, but you have to do both. It's going to be rough. It's going to
sound. What does that sound from?
It's going to be rough. It's going to feel like it's going on for a
I mean, it's from that girl. She used that sound, but I wonder, like, who is that talking? I wonder.
Excuse me, you sir that works here.
More Akatar shit.
Hey babe, are you up right now?
More Akatar shit.
Stop writing characters without understanding their values. I wanted to know, is it possible to make a universal model of human values so that the characters I write really come alive? I'm a writer, I study narrative psychology, and this is the character values wheel. I've put this together over the past 5 years based on research from some of the world's leading psychologists and sociologists. This is the center of the wheel with altruism and...
I'm sorry, it's just not fun.
Okay, so what is the disdain around hardcover books? Because I know that there is like truly team paperback and there are team hardcovers, but I want to know, why don't people like hardcovers? Is it because like they're too expensive? Is it because the jacket never stays on? Now if it's because of the jacket, I'm gonna pick that up. And if it's because of the price, I'm gonna pick that up too, because I do feel like if it is a hardcover, I need more. Like, give me some sprayed edges, some design. Like, I don't feel like that should be a limited edition quality for a hardback. But what I will say is that I am entering my annotation era, and I am currently reading The House of Eve, and I am really enjoying having a hardcover for the simple fact of like writing and within the book. Like, I really enjoy that. But what is the tea around hardcovers? Like, why don't y'all like those? Like, what is up? Is it just the way it feels in your hand? Is it because when you're reading it's stiff? Like, what is it? I'm interested to know. Okay, so what is the...
I like paperbacks. I don't know, but I own all versions. I own paper and hardback of multiple books. Just depends on what I got. If it came out more recently, I probably have the hardback of it.
This is my April TBR. Let's talk about it. First up is Credence.
There's so much like romance content on BookTok. Like, there's just so much about romance books, which is like, why is BookTok so successful at talking about romance books, but BookTube, I feel like, isn't at the same level? Like, I feel like it is. Maybe it's getting there, because I feel like there's a lot less embarrassment with reading romance books. And, like, I've read some romance books, so, like, I enjoy them. But, like, I just feel like when I'm on BookTok, I don't really want to read I don't want to read. Like, I can get out with a fantasy romance, but I just don't really like regular romance. Like, I don't know. Like, I'd rather watch a movie. I'd rather watch a rom-com. But maybe I just need to read rom-coms and then I'll get it. Because I feel like BookTok is... Not only are they big on romance, they're big on, like, dark romance. Like, it's, like, the darker, the better, the more taboo. Like, I'm just, like... Why? Like, I don't know.
Credence, where's my bookmark? Oh, can you see the gap of it? I'm almost finished with it. I'm this close to being done. I'm going to finish it today. This is... Forget everything I've ever said on my BookTok. This is my favorite book that I've ever read. Bye. I don't even give a fuck. If my house caught on fire,
I wouldn't grab a single thing on this shelf. I don't give a fuck. I would not grab A Little Life. I wouldn't grab anything. I'd grab Credence. If I found, I would buy 45 copies of Credence just to have them so I can bathe in them. I would lay them on my bed and roll around. Okay, it's getting weird. Next for April, I want to read Flock because I've heard these two are comparable, and after I'm reading this, I guarantee you I will be in the fattest reading slump of my life because nothing will compare. So I'm going to try Flock directly after. This was also a gift from Gabby. Thank you, Gabby. Next, I want to read Hex Hall. I've heard a lot about this book on TikTok. It's like a witchy fantasy book. Next, I want to read the Fairy Loot book that came. It's called The Seven Faceless Saints, and obviously I got my first Fairy Loot box, so I'm going to read the book, and like, are you kidding me? I'm gonna feel so cool reading it. I might read it on my phone just because I don't want to like fuck with this. I don't know. Next, I want to read Things We Got Over. I've just got this sent to me and I have to read it. I've heard so much about this, and I know the second book just came out and I haven't read the first one at all. I don't even know what this is about. I don't even know what this is about. So it needs to be read. Okay, next I'm gonna read Pretty Reckless. This cover, I need to read this book, okay? Every time I'm at Barnes & Noble, I see it and I actively don't buy it. Why? I have it now. I will read it. Okay, next is Neon Gods by Katie Robert. I don't know if I'm gonna like this, but I've heard a lot of good things about it. I'm gonna give it a shot. I don't have my hopes high for this though, so we'll see. Next is Scarred. Obviously, I loved Hooked. I ate that up, and this is the second one to that series. I don't know how I'm gonna feel about it just because of the time era. I don't like that time era, but I'm gonna try to look past it. I'm gonna try to ignore it, and I'm gonna try to read it. I've tried to read this 3 separate times. I'm gonna read it this month. And last, this is a book I've really been waiting to read, and I finally got my hands on it, A Touch of Darkness. I have been waiting to read this. Ooh, you have no idea. So I'm probably going to read this after Flock, honestly. And that is my April TBR. If you guys have read any of these, you know, shoot some advice.
I'm trying to take over the country.
I know what Amryn is. Like, I know what she is. All the spoilers.
This is LLS.
That was more Akatar shit. Like, good lord. I feel like it's just unavoidable.
Damn it! I can't find my driving moccasins anywhere!
All day, son. Come on, man. Don't put your head in there. Don't put your head in there.
Hey. Love mango chutney. Really any type of chutney.
Oh, a menorah! Judaism, son. A white man? No!
I don't want some janky freshwater bitch fish, Winston. Pine has no place in this loft. It's the wood of poor people and outhouses.
29? 29?
Youths.
This is LLS.
Okay, I think that's enough. I have 30 minutes of me talking and scrolling. So, I don't know. I find BookTok doesn't give me what I want. Like, I feel like I've read a lot of the popular BookTok books, but I found them on BookTube first. And you just get so much more. I don't know, like, I'm sad that BookTok is becoming more of the platform than BookTube, because I feel like BookTube is like better. I mean, it's just what I would prefer to watch. I would prefer to watch people discussing for a longer amount of time about how they felt about certain books, because I feel like BookTok doesn't give you enough time to like explain why you like the book. BookTok is just sitting here being like, this is the most scandalous thing I've ever read, which, like, I don't know. Like, I'm not trying to read. I don't know. Like, BookTok is fine. Like, it has its place, but like, I'm sad that I feel like it's replacing BookTube. And like, why are there? I don't know. This sounds so judgmental. I'm not trying to be judgmental. Like, everything is like, I just wish that BookTube was at least like feeling like it was as equally as popular as BookTok. Like, I feel like it's what I would rather be watching. So I feel like we should, like, aren't there enough people interested in BookTube and enough people interested in BookTok? Clearly that's not the case though, because I guess, I don't know, maybe people just like want to know the book is good, they have someone they trust, and then they just go to BookTok. Like, if I could find someone like that, if I could find a person on BookTok who would just like always recommend me a hit, and all I had to do was like watch a 5-second video from them on BookTok, like, maybe that would, I guess, maybe that's the appeal. Maybe that's the reason why other people have that appeal. And I feel like different types of books are hyped. Like, I feel like BookTok is there's more women on BookTok, but I mean, that's just who I follow. Also, like, I'm gay, so like, I don't know if like that's a factor in why I see more women versus men on BookTok, but I watch a more equal distribution of men and women on BookTube. So I feel like I'm seeing different, like, I see books that men and women enjoy. Obviously, like I am a man, but I'm gay, so it's like I still have like a lot of feminine interests, but I also am a man. So I don't know. What was the point of this? I don't know. I really don't feel like BookTok is where I'm going to be hanging out. I mean, I have it, it's there, but I prefer Bookstagram. Honestly, I just feel like it's a better platform for DMs and like messaging and like group chats. I just think it's better as a platform. Like I would say like BookTube, then Bookstagram, and then I guess BookTok after that, and then probably Book Twitter at the bottom, because like I just don't want to go to Book Twitter because I feel like it is so toxic. Those are just my thoughts. I feel like this wasn't exciting. I feel like it wasn't exciting. And like there are some hilarious book talks. Like there's some really, really funny ones, but I just wanted to see like just a general, you know, what pops up if I just open up book talks to someone who like barely uses it, and like my first impressions kind of sort of, and I don't know. This, I would love it if you want to explain to me like what you love about book talk and like who are your favorite book talkers, like who do you think are some of the best at the craft. Please let me know. I would love to follow them because I don't really see the appeal. I don't see the appeal as much as I see the appeal on BookTube. I just feel like BookTube is so much, it's a better platform. And even with Bookstagram, like you could post a picture of one book, but like then you can read the whole review, so you're getting like all those details. I mean, I guess you could post like a book talk about just one book, but I feel like the common like thing that BookTok does, even though this isn't really what I witnessed just now, was like, I don't even know what, I mean, there was a lot of different types of content, but I just feel like I don't really know what I feel. I won't be hanging out on BookTok that much. So feel free to follow me on Bookstagram. So I'll leave all that. I'm going to leave my Instagram, Goodreads, Twitter. It will all be in the description for you to check out if you would like. Otherwise, have a great day. Bye.